Does Dylan Harper fit the Washington Wizards better than Ace Bailey? Looking at the draft, should the Washington Wizards go with best player available or look at fit? We're going to talk about that and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Scott again. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, I got a special guest, my guy, Domo, man, from the Wizards of Gallery Place podcast. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Blessed, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Anytime. So we're going to talk about the future tonight a little bit. I'm obviously going to throw some questions at you about the current Wizards, but tonight we're going to look at the future. So obviously looking forward to the 2025 NBA draft. Very important for the Washington Wizards. Year two in a very long rebuild, but they definitely have shown that they're willing to hit in the draft. Looking at all 5 draft picks, Blau looking like he's breaking out in year 2. You see a lot of potential in Sar, Bub Carrington's a dog, and Keyshawn George, especially early in the season, we saw what he can definitely be capable of. But looking forward a little bit. I'm gonna ask you real quick. At number one, everybody's talking about Cooper Flag, and obviously Cooper Flag definitely has that star potential. But this is gonna be a 2-part question. But is Cooper Flag still your guy at number one? And if not, if we miss out on number one, at number 2, are you still looking at Ace Bailey, or has Dylan Harper stock kind of risen for you?
Yeah, I've kind of, since kind of locking into this draft class, it's been really talked about for a while now. Yeah. How good it is, the depth of it, the quality of it. The Cooper Flag generational stuff, I've never really felt that way. I've always felt like he's had the highest floor. Like zero bust potential with him. At minimum, you're getting a third option, high level defensive impact guy that's just all over the place and makes your team better. What I've kind of questioned is could he be, a number one guy, like leading your offense? You run your offense through him. You're giving it to him in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter to bring you home. And, he's done great at Duke, but I just don't really see that as a part of his game yet. I think it's going to be quite an adjustment for him when he gets to the NBA. He seems kind of limited as far as his half-court offensive repertoire right now. So I still like him number one because I think it's the safest pick. Yeah. But if it was me pulling the trigger and say the Wizards got number one, I would probably entertain trading back, kind of like what the Celtics did to get Tatum. And I would be trying to target Dylan Harper. I just think he just does it so effortlessly off the bounce, and his first step getting to the rim is some of the best I've seen. Some of in the likes of like a Shea or Cade Cunningham or Harden. Whatever, big lead guard you want to throw out there. I think he has that type of talent, man, to impact day one. And the Wizards need that. We got enough guys that kind of need development. I'm at right now.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all points, man. Looking at Cooper Flag, yeah, I'm with you. He has the best floor. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. But a lot of pressure. 17 years old, so he's still very, very young as a freshman in Duke. You definitely see the star potential, but a lot of pressure for a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid coming to a franchise where he's going to be expected to be that guy. So I'm with you on that front. To me, I'm with you. He's still the number one guy, but I think that Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper definitely have crept up on him a little bit because you see the potential of these guys out of Rutgers, man. They can straight out ball. So, if at number one, yeah, I'm still rolling with Cooper Flag, but if we miss out on number one, it's always a question, do you go best player available or do you go with the potential fit? And I think with Dylan Harper, you can kind of check both boxes with that because I think he's on par with Ace Bailey as far as best player available at that point at number 2. I think they're very on par with each other. You see both of them, as far as their games at Rutgers, what their pros and cons are. And I think there's a lot more pros with both of them than cons. But looking at Dylan Harper, looking at the future at point guard in Washington, Jordan Poole, we know that he's definitely emerged out this year as a guy who could get votes for most improved player. But we all know, we know what the writing on the wall in Washington is, which is everybody's tradable outside of the 5 draft picks under Will Dawkins. Everybody's tradable. There's reports out there saying that Denver's has some interest in. I'm looking at Bob Carrington as a guy who could potentially be that point guard of the future. So Dylan Harper and Bob Carrington in the same backcourt, I think it would be a backcourt, man. Even if they go with Ace Bailey, yeah, you probably could slide Bilal to the 2, even though I look at him as a wing. But we have choices. So I think it might be out, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good, man. So I'm with you. I think you cannot go wrong with the top 3. And Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. But to me, the best fit is Dylan Harper, man. I think he can fit next to Bub or Jordan Poole, whoever the guy is at point guard for the future, and because he can shoot. I know he's a southpaw, but he can flat out shoot the rock, man. So, looking at the 2025 draft again, we often talk about Cooper Flagg, we talk about Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, but let's talk about the best of the rest. Worst case scenario, and I don't even want to speak this into the lives of the Wizards fan base, man, but we go outside the top 3. I know, right? We missed out on the top 3, right? Looking at some guys that I've been looking at, you have Kasparis Jacobsianis out of Illinois. You've got Igor Demine out of BYU, Trey Johnson out of Texas, and Nolan Sherrar. So, worst case scenario again, man. We missed out on the top 3. Which one of these 4 guys do you think would be probably the guy that would fit in Washington?
Man, I out of the top 3, man, I like Derek Queen, man.
Yeah.
And that's not my Maryland bias showing, but I just think if you just look at the numbers, you watch him play, his post work, his footwork, his touch around the rim. I don't want to say it's Jokic like, but he's really, really skilled. I'll just say that he's really, really skilled, and I feel like the big man is back, especially ones that are skilled on all 3 levels. I know he has some limitations defensively, which is why I think him paired next to Sarr is perfect. Sarr wants to play out on the perimeter anyway, at least on the offensive end. So how about Sarr on the perimeter at the 4, Queen on your block at the 5, and then defensively, Sarr can kind of play help side defense, shot block. He don't have to guard the big beefy centers, and Derek Queen can kind of put the beef on him. And then, like I said, you got Sarr weak side shot block, and I think that would be a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams.
Look, you took mine because I'm like I said, I'm a Virginia guy, man, but I always had a soft side for the University of Maryland basketball program, man. I remember when, we had Juan Dixon, we had them cats out of Maryland, man. So Derek Queen, I agree with you. I think he could fit next to Alex Sarr, and that would be a nice 1-2 punch in the front court because, like you said, for all the points you already covered, man, he's money in the paint. Looking at Alex Sarr, he ain't quite ready yet to go in there and bang with these bigger bigs, man. He's at, in my opinion, probably about 5-10 pounds of muscle, where it doesn't really become a detriment to him being fast in transition. Now, looking at Alex Sarr, we know he can stretch the floor, but I'm gonna ask you this real quick before we move on, man. At 7'1", do you expect him to get in the paint and get more active in the paint? Because it seems at times where he kind of relegates to being that perimeter guy, and he kind of relies on a jump shot a little too much. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been something I've been kind of keeping tabs on all year. I remember at one point I had looked at it. I think it was 47% of his shot profile was threes, which for a guy shooting in the mid-20s from 3-point range at 7 feet tall with his athleticism, that he's got to do better than that. And I just think right now his game is his game, right? He clearly wants to be a perimeter guy. He's much more likely to pick and pop than pick and roll. Yeah. And that's okay. I think you right now it's a development year. You kind of let him do that, kind of explore that. But this summer he needs to get in the weight room. Like it's a must. He's got to add probably 20 to 30 pounds of muscle. And then I think that would give him the confidence to kind of bang a little more down low, because right now he gets pushed around, and so I think that leads him to kind of stray out to that 3-point line. And it's right now in today's NBA, that's the cool thing to do, shoot the three. But I think once he adds some muscle, which of course he's going to do, he's 19 years old. I think you'll start to see him kind of come in and be more of a force in that paint on offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do value the fact that he fits the mold of the modern day big, right? Where he can step out there behind a three-point line and stretch the floor. But at times it just seems like he's too, he relies on that jump shot too much. There's times where I want him to bounce it to the lane. He's waiting on the perimeter. I'm like, bro, you're 7-1. Get in there, box out, get in there and get nasty in the paint. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. Definitely looking for him to, like you said, he's 19. So he's definitely, his body's going to fill out. Definitely want to get him to get active in the weight room. But another thing, I want to see a lot more aggression, especially in the paint. Because man, look, in the paint, you gotta get nasty. Like, you gotta be ready to battle, man. So we need to see more aggression because he's 7-1. And so, like I said, at 7-1, I want him to get in there and definitely learn to play with his back to the basket. Even though we know he can stretch the floor, you need to be a well-rounded center in this league, in my opinion. So play with his back to the basket, counter moves, post moves. So I'm with you on that. So we're going to talk about the vets on the team. We're going to look at Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Jonas Valanciunas, and Malcolm Brogdon, and what their trade value truly is. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So why do I rock with Prize Picks? Well, there's many reasons, but for those very reasons, man, you can definitely double your money and definitely get your money's worth out of the app. So do yourself a favor, download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Rocket RX. Today's episode, if you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, Rocket RX has a solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips. Everything is delivered right to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you get trusted care from the real U.S. clinical team. Complete a quick 100% online consultation, and you could get your free prescription today. So look, do yourself a favor, guy. Look, visit rocketrx.com to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. That's it. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's rocketrx.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for $40 off your first order. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX, better sex made simple. All right, let's get back into this thing, man. So, looking at the vets, we're getting closer to the trade deadline, man. December 15th was that one date where moves are going to start to happen. Dennis Schroeder now in Golden State. A lot of names being floated around, man. Looking at our whiz kids, we know that Malcolm Brogdon is going to be shopped. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be shopped. Kyle Kuzma is going to be shopped this year. And then I'm looking at gray area players. I call it, Jordan Poole, Steve Bay, and Corey Kispert gray area players where they can fit the mold of being a long-term piece, but then they can also definitely be a tradable player. So, we're going to add those 3 in there, Jordan Poole, and we're going to throw Corey Kispert in there. Which player do you see has the highest trade value? And kind of a 2-part question here. With Malcolm Brogdon, with his injury issues, man, do you see a similar situation with like Tyus Jones last year where he could walk for nothing?
Yeah, that's. I'll start with the Brogdon one. Like that one's tricky because his salary is kind of high. He's at about $20 million. But it is expiring. He definitely has a injury history associated with him, but I think teams believe he can play when he's on the floor. It's just, what are you really willing to give up for a guy that's at his age, injury prone, and then it's an expiring deal. So you got to have some cap space going into the summer to be able to retain him. It's tough. Because of that, I don't think you can get first round value for him. And for me, because of the type of player he is, he's so malleable. He kind of just fits in. And obviously he's a great guy off the court. And I like his fit with Poole and Bub and kind of being a mentor veteran piece. I wouldn't mind keeping him, honestly. If all you're going to get for him is, some second round picks, you got plenty of those. I would just keep him and then let it expire. You can take the cap space, or you can re-sign him for, a fair market deal. Something around the MLE. I wouldn't pay him too much because, again, his age and his injury history. If that's what he wanted to do and stay home. As far as the other guys, as far as the guys as a whole, as far as who has the most trade value, I would still probably say Kuz, even though he hasn't played well to start this year. I just think his versatility as a 6'9", 6'10" guy, you can kind of put him a lot of different places, use him in a bunch of different ways, and he's not. I think he's 29, 30. I don't know if he's 30 yet. So I think he doesn't have a injury history, and I think a team could a playoff team can get him, and he can kind of slide in multiple spots and be used different ways in their lineup. So I would still lean him. I think maybe two first-round picks, that was always kind of lofty. I think if you can get a protected first and a kid, I think that's probably the deal that gets it done.
Yeah, I agree on Kuz, man. I definitely agree with that. The 2 first-round picks, I think that they definitely aimed high, but they kind of brought the asking price down a little bit. And I think realistically, you're looking at probably a first-round pick and probably a young prospect, and probably looking at an aspiring contract just because you got to get the money to fit. Because that second apron, man, is probably most of the teams we're going to be dealing with, especially with Jonas Valanciunas and Kyle Kuzma, they're going to be teams who are playoff teams. So you're going to be dealing with the whole issue with the second apron and trying to get salaries to match. And that's why it's been kind of tricky to look at the best landing places for Kyle Kuzma, because you have to make that money match. To me, Sacramento's still the place, man. Because to me, looking at Trey Lyles expiring deal, looking at Kevin Huerter, you need another shooter, and you could probably get a 2026 first round pick. So I would take that move and call it a day. Because call it a day. Because I mean, the Pacers were a team that was linked. I do like Jarris Walker, but you got to make the money match up. And the Warriors was another team where, if you want to make the money match up, what names always float around there is Wiggins. I mean, if you acquire Wiggins, you must as well keep Kuzma because they're, the money, the years. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't want that contract, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's the main thing. I was telling a bunch of guys in the group chat I'm in. It's like I'm down for any deal that can get us draft capital. But if it's draft capital and I got to take back bad money, I don't know, man. I think I'll look elsewhere. I just think because when this team is ready to be competitive, you don't want to be tied down financially to guys you don't want, that don't fit your roster, that don't fit the timeline, or just aren't good, period, aren't playable. So, yeah, I'm not taking back no bad money, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not taking back any bad contracts, man, at all. And Wiggins is a no deal, man. I'm not taking on the contract. So to me, Sacramento fits the best. And to me, Jonas Valanciunas is going to be the first domino to fall. I mean, I think the Lakers are going to be a team that's going to come after him heavy. A lot of reports with them kind of targeting him in the off season. So, and he's looked good this year. I mean, with his, mid-range man has been money, the rebounding, the interior defense. He's definitely the guy who's produced it, for us and when called upon. But a lot of people have been kind of bringing it up that maybe we should kind of hold on to him. I know there's a report that came out that they don't want to get rid of every vet. And I kind of look at it maybe as them playing, smoke and mirrors, kind of messing with the trademark a little bit. But if they decided to hold on to Jonas Valanciunas, would you be mad at that? And does that make Richaun Holmes the guy to shop at the center position?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad. I prefer for them to move him.
Yeah.
Clear the runway for Sarr. And I always kind of felt like when they signed him when he signed here at the money he signed, I always felt like it was kind of a backdoor handshake. They're like, hey, we're gonna get you where you really want to go, because the teams that were good, that I felt like he was the best fit for, they didn't have any cap space. So sign here, get your money, and then we'll make a deal happen for you on the back end. But yeah, if they kept him, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just for this year, and then I would be looking maybe during the draft part of the year, during the summer, they look to move him again. Then everything has to happen in the very first 6 months. So I wouldn't be mad about it. I would just be kind of all right, well, what's the next move? Because you got what, 4 centers on the roster right now, and you can only play 2 of them. So somebody got to go. And I would hate for them to hold on to an asset for too long and then it lose value. So got to strike while it's hot, man.
Oh, absolutely. You got to hit the market when the time is right. So I'm with you. I think that he was acquired to move at some point. The mentorship with Alex Hart, I do appreciate, but I think it's time to definitely consider moving on because he's got that value. And if you retain him, you definitely have to entertain a possible move for Rashawn Holmes because you have to see what you have in Tristan Vucevic. I mean, I think he showed enough, small sample size, but he showed enough that you should definitely give him minutes. And Marvin Bagley III, as a reclamation project here in DC, has shown that with the proper supporting cast, with the right coaching staff, with the right environment, he can produce. He's a 3-level scorer. Yes, he's not a sniper out there. He's going to hit 6 threes a night, but he's a guy who definitely has that capability. And he's done wonders for rebounding because we're kind of middle of the road when it comes to rebounding, but we're better, but we're not quite where we need to be. But I feel like both, Valanciunas and Marvin Bagley have definitely helped us in that situation. So, and kind of go back to Brogdon, I agree 100% with you. I think that I can see him staying. And I think that wouldn't necessarily be the worst idea because he's an aspiring contract. So you're not tied down long term. You got a guy who's been in the league, former 6-man of the year award winner, former starter, he's got ties in the DMV. Keep him around, let him mentor the young guards. I mean, what can it hurt? Because if all you're going to get is second round picks, it feels like we own every second round pick up to like 2030, right? So,
OKC got all the first and we got all the seconds. I'm trying to switch that.
So, I mean, at this point, what does second round picks really do for us? Even though I do think they can be a little valuable as far as, if you want to move back into the first round and stuff like that. But you can only hold so many second round picks. So I'm with you on that. Why not just keep him around? I'm primarily looking at moving Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, Corey Kispert, with his extension kicking in next year, you could possibly, pull out a deal, but you don't really want to move him to the off season. And I kind of see a similar situation with Denny Avia where they time to that really team friendly deal and then eventually move him at some point. But Corey Kispert is another guy like Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey where if you decide to hold on to him, I understand. But if the price is right and you find the right deal, then you can't argue them making a deal either. So I say this all the time, man. We have options here. We haven't always had options in the nation's cap, man. So we have options, right? So we're going to talk about a former Wizards son is actually slated to be a prospect in next year's draft. Should we take a look at him? But before we talk about that, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Good Lord. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets in the NFL all in one place. So you can get 100 minutes of the game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can start at $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, let's get back into this thing. So before we call it a night, looking forward a little bit. I know it's a little too early, man, but looking at the 2026 draft, you got AJ DeBonsa, man. He's a guy who just signed with BYU. He looks like he's a really good elite prospect at the wing. And obviously Cameron Bruiser, the son of Carlos Boozer. I'm an old head, man. I remember the days of Carlos Boozer, man. So that's how you know your age, man. It's when
him and D-Will.
I'm telling you, man. And that's how you know your age is when you watch the guy's dad. And now you're seeing the son playing the league. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to get a little old, man. So so looking at the 2026 draft, man, there are a couple of headliners, but somebody else is a headliner. Elijah Arenas, man, shooting guard out of Chatsworth, California, man. And this kid can play, man. I mean, he can definitely play. So do you look, I mean, I know it's a little early, but for the sake of conversation, do you think the Wizards might make, kind of take a shot at him with his, connection to his dad being that, that Wizard star for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, the kid's game is tailor-made for what the league is now, especially for guard play. He kind of reminds me of LaMelo Ball. Yeah. With how he approaches as just as a assassin scoring the ball. And he passes out of his ability to score. So, yeah, for sure. But I think it would also depend on what they do this draft, right? Because if you get a Dylan Harper, do you go point guard again, back-to-back drafts, and you got Bub here, Poole still kind of in the mix. So it's all up in the air, man. Look, the more talent, the better, because, we need it. Everything is on the table.
Ain't that the truth, man? We need all the talent we can get, man. Because look, we 3-21, man. It's getting hard to tell people I'm a Wizards fan, man. But we gotta be loyal, man. But I'm with you again. Just like you said, man. It really depends which direction we go. Because if we go Cooper Flag, I can see that being a fit between him and Aaron Peterson out of Kansas. I think he's definitely a good fit. But if you go with another direction, like Dylan Harper, then again that definitely makes sense. And AJ DeBonsa, man, I mean the kid is a beast. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Could you imagine? Because I say this to people all the time. Because the Nationals is the first overall pick. And last time the Nats and the Wizards both had first overall picks was John Wall and Bryce Harper. So I'm hoping we have some of that mojo, man, where we get that first pick. But
we need it.
Oh, we definitely need it, man. But could you imagine if we got number 1 overall picks in back-to-back drafts with DeBonsa and Cooper Flag? I mean,
it's our time, man. It's our time. Look, hey, they did it for the Cavs, man. The Cavs, matter of fact, the Cavs had 3 number 1s in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that's on top of getting LeBron. So like I'm like, hey, go ahead, bring some of that this way, man. Get the nation's capital back popping, man.
Hey, I'm with you, man. We need all of the love we can get because it's been a while. 1978, man. I mean, it's been a while. So I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. I'm gonna ask you this real quick before we bounce, man. Long season, 3-21, but it's a small percentage, but there are people out there that say is ready to kind of judge Will Dawkins and head coach Brian Keefe. And I'm saying it's way too early, man. I mean, at what point do you think is the time to start judging them? Because I think that, when you look at Will Dawkins real quick, man, you can't judge him until when a lot of these draft picks they come to fruition. Like we got some time before you can really judge him. And if you look at the fact that he's already a better GM than Ernie Grunfeld. He's already hitting the draft. I mean, when you look at Ernie Grunfeld, it ain't hard to go John Wall and Bradley Beal in those drafts. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And you know what I mean? And then when you look at the other picks, he missed on almost every pick when he's not throwing away first-round picks for guys he doesn't even re-sign, looking at Bogdanovich. So, I mean, with Brian Keefe and Will Dawkins, at what point do you think is the right time to really judge what you see?
Yeah, I feel like the they just put the turkey in the oven. Like it's still, it ain't even really still marinating in the oven, man. I wouldn't start judging until at least 3 drafts, and I would say coming out of this is their second year now. I would say coming out of the 3rd year, that summer, what they do that summer will kind of tell me where we're headed. Because then you'll have Bilal going into year 4. Sar going into year 3, and you've just come out of 2 of the best draft classes that you're probably gonna be a part of, hopefully for the foreseeable future. So let's see what the cap books look like. Let's see, that summer what type of signings they make, because I think at that point they're gonna try to sign some impactful vets, kind of like what Houston did, adding Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet to, Sengun, Jalen Green, Amon, all that young talent they have. I think that's the summer that the Wizards kind of do that. And then you can judge them and look and kind of see how the team is structured. But right now, it's really only 4 guys that I see on this roster in the next 2 years. So how can you judge that? It's not even a completed roster yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like you said, it's way too early. Like people were ready to cast off Alex Sarr at the 5 summer league games. It's like it's summer league, man.
Don't get me started on that. Get me started on that.
5 games, man, and they call this man a bust. It's like, come on, man, it's way too early. I mean, you see the potential, and we knew coming out of the draft that he was going to be raw. It's like the same thing with Bilal. The fact that you're seeing him kind of progress offensively in year 2, I said, is a testament not only to him and his work ethic, but to Brian Keefe. Because Brian Keefe, if you look at his resume, look at the amount of talent that he's not only developed into starters or all-stars. There's guys on the list, man, that are going to the Hall of Fame. And, the work he did in Oklahoma City, because, you always look at the talent on the court, but you don't realize all the stuff behind the scenes. And if you look at a lot of the connections to Oklahoma City, not only with Brian Keefe, man, but with Will Dawkins. Will Dawkins, I mean, yeah, he has a long way to go before he proves to be one of the better GMs in the league. But I'm telling you, he knows ball. and they have a blueprint. They have a plan, and they have already hidden in the draft. I mean, Bilal is money. They hit him in the draft. I mean, Alex R, to me, you see the potential. Bub Carrington's a dog, man. I mean, he's a straight dog. And then Keyshawn George, he played better than I thought he would, especially defensively, because coming out of the draft, out of the U, I knew he was that guy who could be a sharpshooter, but defensively he shows a lot of energy on the defensive side of the ball. So he's surprised me a lot. Jordan Poole, another guy, man, where defensively last year he was unplayable. Now he's putting up, some great effort on the defensive side of the ball. So, in closing, man, we have options. I said all the time, like, we're not handcuffed by a max contract. We got a GM who definitely goes out there and scouts and finds talent, finds those diamonds in the rough. Because look, we got a guy at the 14th pick. I mean, we got a guy at the 24th pick. You don't see that with the last regimes, man. You just don't see that. I mean, we're able to get talent in the later stages of the first round. It's not the second round pick or the second round when you look at Tristan Vucevic, because I can't remember the last time a second round pick actually made the trip to DC. Like, I mean,
I was suited up. Like even first round picks, I would say outside of the top 15, like we kind of just would always kind of throw those away, trade them all for, so just the fact that these guys are identifying players that fit what they are looking for deep into the draft, that tells you they really invested and they're doing their job. They really out here scouting, man. They're not just taking the ESPN board and going down and then picking the guy that's next on the board, Like Bilal had to be found and identified. And then to go trade up and get him. That's not something that just falls in your lap. That's a guy you targeted and you went after him. So and Bub as well, like having the foresight to move Denny at peak of his value to go get Bub, who again was not a consensus 5-star big name guy from age 14 on up. Like, you identified the talent and you went and got him. So, I expect the same. I don't expect them to kind of just sit on their hands and just follow consensus.
Oh, I'm with you on that, man. I think we're definitely in a good place. It's all about the journey. It's going to take a little bit, and it ain't easy to get through it, man. But we're going to get through this. Absolutely. We're going to get through this thing, man. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night. But, hey, man, appreciate you coming on the show. You catch my man Domo, man, over there the Wizards of Gallery place, man. I listen to you guys all the daggone time, man. So good work over there. I mean, put a lot of stuff on X, man. Definitely catch my guy. If you don't follow him, man, you need to follow my guy over here, because, man, he knows ball. So he's definitely catch. He's active on X. But other than that, man, anything to plug, or where else can we catch you?
That's pretty much the main ones, man. Follow me on X, Domo8186, man. I'm gonna keep talking my thing, man, and hopefully get us through this this rebuilding stage, man.
Yeah, man. It's all about the journey, but the journey ain't easy. So, like I said, we're gonna get there, man. So again, brother, appreciate you coming on the show, man. Definitely gonna have you back on here, man. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna call it a night. We're gonna go live tomorrow, following the Wizards and Hornets game, man. Oh, real quick, I guess I asked, man. The Hornets. Is this a real chance to go get that fourth win, man? I mean, what's your prediction?
Man, hopefully they try to put up 53s against us, and it's possible, man. I got to look at the injury report. Is LaMelo playing? Because it's possible. I mean, if there was a game to get, that's the one. That's definitely the one.
Yeah, the last time I looked at the report, he's not on there, but they had Brandon Miller day-to-day, but I expect him to play. So we know we have been struggling on the perimeter, man. So you best believe that Brandon Miller and Ball, man, they're going to be shooting out there. So we got to close out on shooters. So again, man, we'll go ahead and call it a night. So again, appreciate you, man. All right, everybody, head up to the Wizards, and peace. See everybody next time.